gosh, I think, we're kind of playing musical chairs again.
A little bit.
A little bit. And we keep saying every week we get here and we go, we need a bigger table. We need more chairs, and we're working on it. So bear with us, but we'll get there. But Dawn, you're here with us now, and before you, okay, of course we had Joe. Okay.
Yes.
The main crew of the Real People, Real Life, okay, is what we call the JoJo Fossadon.
That's correct.
Okay, it's like
we killed the T-Rex.
we killed the T-Rex. Okay, so there's a Joe, and a Fossa, and a Dawn. Okay, so Dawn Landis is back with us. Joe already took a break for this next segment. Joey's hanging tough with me, Joey Stone, and our designated blonde seat. Fossa took a break, so we have Dawn Messenger with us, and I'm going to let you introduce our guest.
Well, we have a very special guest today. We have John Rolfe, I get it right, with the group Yes Wichita. Now, John's been active in the community for a number of years. He did visioneering Wichita prior to this, about 3 years ago or so. Did a lot of, I think, groundwork almost for this Yes Wichita, because a lot of the things that came out of the big picture of visioneering have been somewhat incorporated down in what we're seeing in this proposal. Is that right, or am I a little bit off?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily connected that way. Most of the things that came on this initiative started with the 100-plus meetings that the city did and the survey that they did. So they heard back from 6,000 different citizens, and they heard clearly that water and jobs were what they wanted to tackle, and if there's a way to fund it, they'd prefer sales tax over property tax increase.
Can we take one break for 1 second, because I don't think it was made perfectly clear. You're with the group Yes Wichita, correct?
Yes Wichita, vote yes, November 4th.
And the point of this is, last week we had somebody here that was with Coalition for a Better Wichita that wants us as Wichita citizens to vote no, and you are our opposite side this week to say vote yes. So tell me why you and your group want us to vote yes.
The real thought, there's two thoughts. There's a larger thought for the city. There's a lot of people, young people, creatives in this town that really feel and are struggling to see how the town's taking proactive steps to move forward, to shape our future, and to be aggressive about trying to grow and be all that we can be. And my sense is if we have another opportunity to try and be proactive about our future, even if it's something like infrastructure like water and streets, and we say no again, that's going to continue to damage the foundation of the connection that people feel to this community. So the larger picture for me is to draw in that sense of home. This is our home, right? We're not talking about a tax that is going to go and we'll split 50% of it with Johnson County. This is an investment in our community. Now, I'm a father. I have 4 kids, 5 and under, so it's amazing that I'm awake
You look so young.
right now.
How do you do that?
He does. Very young. We want your secrets.
I can tell you how that happens.
Tell me, okay.
I have diagrams to tell you how that happens. But
I don't think I do that. The staying young part is all I was asking.
I say bye to those kids every morning, and for me, I feel real responsibility. And that's why I've been involved in United Way and Visioneering, different things like that, because I want to try and make this community all that it can be and just do my part. We have to figure out, this isn't fear-mongering or anything like that. We know from 2 years ago that we are not prepared for a 10-year drought, so we have to figure out how to prepare for a 10-year drought. City looked at 17 different options, did 3 different studies, and figured out the best option for us is to replenish the ASR. Then we know that over the last 6 years, we're on a $20,000 net slide on jobs. That's the whole city of Derby. Every mother, woman, and child we've lost in jobs. We've lost 31,000, got 11,000 back. That's serious over the last 6 years. We got to do something proactive, or we're going to let things keep happening to us, because if it just keeps happening to us, we can see where it's going. There's real cost to saying no. It's not just like, hey, here are the benefits of yes. It's 111 less miles of neighborhood streets that are paved. It's 25% shrink in our transit. People really need that versus an expansion. Plus, it's letting the continued slide in job growth happen without being proactive. This is the most proactive step we've ever taken trying to diversify this economy, which we've been talking about since the 70s. And it's helping secure a water source, which is a real issue. Just look in California, look in San Antonio. This is something that the cities need to be proactive about figuring out.
I'm personally, I am happy to have somebody come on the show that I agree with in the fact that we have been losing jobs, because you and I were both at the same luncheon last week, and I'm still tearing into those numbers, by the way, where we had a gentleman from the state that was going on and on and on about how fantastic we've added all these jobs, and I'm sitting here looking at him thinking, what planet do you live on? Because here in Wichita, that's not true.
No, it's not true.
Okay, and I'm not gonna name names, but I did get a media report this morning that we had 3 more local businesses that have closed and took out bankruptcy in the last 7 to 10 days. Okay, so and no, Wichita Eagle, it wasn't me. Okay, anyway.
Well, we're seeing it right in my corner, the Woodlawn. We lost several businesses, McDonald's. Now, it wasn't because McDonald's broke, it's because they didn't like that location. Same with Dillon's. Kroger's not going broke, but they decided that did not fit their long-term business model.
Right,
so we're out in our neighborhood, so we're concerned about those jobs, those types of businesses. So how does this tax increase give us those jobs?
Well,
that's the disconnect.
That's what scares me. Only because whenever government to me says we're going to have money to give jobs, it just always seems to me that it ends up being government jobs.
And you should be you should be concerned, right? I mean, it's government, and you wouldn't have people like Charlie Chandler, who's very close on the right wing conservative and things like that. And we have both sides that would sign on to something like this, or myself, that if we didn't have the citizen oversight, wouldn't sign on. There's going to be a citizen council of 10 to 15 members that are going to be a device group. There's going to be people from the No campaign and the Yes campaign. There's going to be people from all areas of the community. It's going to be very representative.
I want in on that.
If you
I volunteer.
There's a process.
That we want people, like you that want to be on it, and you get to see it. It's going to be professionally audited numbers, and we're going to make sure all the money that comes from this goes where it's supposed to go, not just the jobs part. The amazing thing to me about the jobs piece is that it's privately, it's going to be more privately overseen than publicly. So you will have a 5-member commission, and you'll have 3 private sector members and 2 public sector members. So this isn't just, hey, here city, here's $80 million, go do something with it. This is really, how do we be aggressive about diversifying? How do we get a stronger ROI than we used to get? And Wichita State's helped us develop 3 different ROIs, plus it's got clawback. So if the people aren't delivering on their promises, we go get that money back and put it where it can go.
You do have clawback then?
You do have clawback. I did not know about
That's
that.
important, I think, consideration for people to know.
It's very important. You just got to look at some of the people around this table and know they wouldn't be in it if there weren't provisions like that. And 80% of it is guaranteed to go into things that will stay inside of Wichita: infrastructure, training people.
80% of it?
Yeah, 80% of it.
Stays in Wichita. Where does this other 20%?
It's guaranteed in things that can't leave Wichita. I should clarify that. If a company came and then left,
which we've had happen.
Yeah, the people and infrastructure would stay here. Does that make sense? That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The other 20% just gives flexibility in the fund to make sure that we can do the deal, whatever we need to close it. So if they need some relocation costs, or there's something that fits outside of infrastructure and job training, it gives us just enough flexibility to get it done.
So there's 4 parts to this. One of the most important, the most money goes into water. Have they settled upon the water plant, or are they still?
No, they did. So the idea was to have the water plan settled by the time that the council decided to put on the ballot, which they did. So when you hear people talk about the plan changing, that's because they were vetting it, previous. So now it's solid, right? So they start with 17 options, then narrowed it down to, I think, 9, and then narrowed it down to 5, and then narrowed it down to 2, and it became down to El Dorado and ASR. So buying the water from El Dorado, which give us 3 different sources: the Little Ark, Cheney, and El Dorado. El Dorado wouldn't guarantee the last 3 years of a 10-year drought. It's the same cost, but we didn't get this is what that's about. It's a 10-year drought.
Right.
It's not some made up numbers. It's what you can see. And but the ASR could, and so we take 30 million gallons a day more off the Little Ark, store it under in the aquifer, which can't evaporate, and then it's there for us when we need it. This keeps the water rates from doubling in a drought. Also, I talk about the cost of this if we say no. The city's saying water rates will increase by 6.5% more a year if we don't pass this thing. So your water bill essentially will go up 50% over 5 years and be there in perpetuity, versus a 5-year sales tax, which goes away, and 35% of it gets paid by people that don't live here.
Now, some people have talked about there's a 1% drought versus a 2% drought. Can you clarify with anybody?
I heard Jennifer mention that last week. I've never heard those terms talked about. The terms I always hear talked about is a 10-year drought. And so just think of it that way. I don't know the 1 versus 2, but it's knowing that, and that's considered the Dust Bowl drought. That was a 10-year drought.
Right.
And I think 2 years ago when it got really scary with Cheney, that was about 4 years into a drought. And what they've now set up measures is where, more quickly than what they did that time, they will start, if we don't have a larger water source secured, they'll start limiting what you can do at home, and then then they'll start limiting the businesses, which makes this a very unfriendly place to do business.
Stop limiting the businesses.
So the water and the jobs kind of go a little bit. You can't get the jobs to come in if we don't have the water.
I mean, San Antonio, the poster child on that, because they are struggling with long-term water sources, and they finally I think are building like a 300-mile pipeline to figure this out. And then I know people that are not relocating to California based solely on this issue.
I do know some business owners that are they're not moving to California because of the drought problems. So that's true.
The whole thing's really related. I mean, you can't have the jobs without the water, and you need the people to be able to get to their jobs. The second shift jobs. I don't know if you read the story in the paper about the gal who sits in the office after her second shift job, for a few hours waiting for the bus system to start up in the morning so she can get home. Yeah, this is real people. At our launch, we had 100+ people. Several of them were blind. These people need the bus system. This is not a... Yeah, exactly. He was there. So.
Wow. Okay, so break down what are the 4 parts? Would you remember from last week? Can you? I know we've got water, then there's the job incentive.
63% goes to water, 20% goes to jobs, 10% goes to transit, and 7% goes to streets.
7% was to streets. That's the one I can't remember.
My friend Brandon Johnson had a picture up here in 3 hours, and he still hadn't gotten anything done on a water main break. This is off of Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
But he put it up there, and this is just an example of the infrastructure that's between streets. I'm in Wichita Independent Neighborhoods. And we hear every day from neighbors and neighborhood associations about the condition of the streets. And we work with the city trying to get stuff done, but we just keep coming back. We pay tax dollars now.
Yeah, but
why can't they get the city?
Well, they'll continue to pave streets, right? And they'll pave miles of streets. When you think about the streets, think of this as like a shot in the arm. They'll be able to pave twice the number of miles over the next 5 years than they did the previous 5 years. So the thought is they have a new plan that helps extend the life, some of the technology and capping and all that. It's kind of beyond my pay grade on that, but they'll get the 111 miles of neighborhoods, and then they'll be able to also shoot in the arm. And so this will catch us up where they'll be able to, they're telling us to have a better maintenance plan where the roads don't get as rough a shape as they are right now.
Well, yeah, we need a better maintenance plan. That's for dang Skippy. I know he's had some problems. We couldn't even get snow and ice removed, but we're going to be taking a break here in a little bit. But I think you did have some questions, or we did have some people with some questions. So I want to make sure we get to some questions. And if you have questions, or Joey, if you have any questions, again, right now, I want to say, John, thank you. And again, you're Yes Wichita.
Yes Wichita, vote yeswichita.com. You can check us out.
And you have a Facebook too?
Yes Wichita.
Oh, well,
can
we make this easier, everybody?
Think Yes and Wichita.
Oh my gosh, we're
I
gonna
think he's a yes man.
Yes!
Absolutely.
Oh wow. Okay, let's break that back down now. Real people, real life. We'll be right back.
Real People, Real Life is brought to you by these fine sponsors.
At Trailer Town, we're all about selection, service, and safety. Trailer Town Selection, hundreds to choose from, small to large, lightweight aluminum to heavy-duty steel, all types, new and used. Trailer Town Service, the best in the Midwest, from wiring to axle repair. Trailer Town Safety, yes, we do Department of Transportation inspections. Trailer Town, trusted, family-owned, 301 West 53rd Street North.
Saving you money big time and saying thank you, Kansas, for making Credit King Auto Sales the #1 buy here, pay here dealer. #1 for sales, service selection, and customer satisfaction. Right now, our summer blowout sale is going on with, get this, 2 years of free gas. Only at Credit King Auto Sales at the King's Corner, 31st South and Broadway. Go CreditKing.com.
Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and lowest prices store-wide, wants to remind you of very important savings days. Wine Day, Tuesdays get 20% off. Beer Day, Wednesdays get 10% off. Microbrews and imports. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road.
At Economy Motors, we know that everything costs more these days. Gas costs more, utilities cost more, groceries cost more. But what's one thing that will not cost you more? Buying your next vehicle with us. Everything we have is priced $12,995 or under. Bad credit, no worries. No crazy gimmicks and no bait and switch. We keep it real. Economy Motors, home of Easy Pay. We've got your back.
Don't worry, please, don't worry. 'Cause at Economy Motors, we got your back.
Carmen
Karma Connections 1123 East Douglas wants everyone to enjoy awesome karma. From our one-of-a-kind natural healing arts massage therapies to our plant shop now open with specials every day. Unique gifts, one-of-a-kind finds, treasures made by local artists. A must-see, our new line from House of Fur Babies. Our fur babies love some awesome karma too. Check out the Bacon Cave, home of worldwidebaconrock.com radio. From our family to yours. Love, peace, natural healing, wonderful giggles, always awesome karma.
Welcome back, real people, real life, and wow. Okay, sometimes when we take just that small little break, some of the most fascinating things come out. Okay, so yes, we still have John here with us on the Yes Wichita group. Okay, and they are saying yes. He's a yes man. Vote yes on the proposed sales tax, and yes, they have a Facebook, and yes, they have the website. So, Dawn, you had a good question, actually from our FASA via Dawn. Go ahead.
How do we know that tax won't come off?
That it'll come off on schedule.
Yes.
I think we were able to build trust through the arena tax, right? It was supposed to go on for 4 years and then come off, and it did, and the building was paid for. It wasn't like we had to come back, or the county had to come back and say we couldn't pay for it all. That happened the first MAPS program in Oklahoma City, and they almost didn't build the basketball arena that the Thunder's in now because of that. They budgeted appropriately and all that, and I know the city has been conservative in their estimates on this so that there isn't the risk that they would ever need to ask for an extension. But the thing is written that it will end at 5 years, and they would have to come back and ask for a vote to extend it. Yeah. And so the chances are, because they've been so conservative, that if water comes in under budget, the tax would actually end early. That's how the thing's written. As this gets funded, this could get ended early, as long as these things get funded.
Okay.
So
and you had I just thought you had a funny comment earlier. What was that?
I'm not going to go there, but I do have another question. I mentioned this last week with our other guest. Within this tax, is there anything that they're talking about with this? The big scary salt plume coming our way. Is there anything written in there to take care of that or to use that for anything?
Well, my understanding, I heard you guys talk about mining it and all that. I don't, that's not, the city wouldn't mine the salt plume, maybe someone else will come along. We have about 20 years before that gets here, and then we have a little more time before it actually contaminates the water. But what this research says, if you fill that aquifer up, it helps build head pressure against it and slows it down. So that's one of the other advantages of taking that water off the Lark, putting it underground. And, I've learned a lot about this going into it. I always thought it was one huge water field that went all the way into Oklahoma and up to Nebraska, and there was all these people with straws in it, and how did we know we were going to get to keep our amount? Well, it's actually little pockets of water, and so we have ours, and we have first rights on it. So if for some reason that was getting sucked by a farmer too low, we would be able to say, hey, no, this is our water, city needs to get through the 10-year drought. So this is, you think of it like a city pool that's covered, and the water can't evaporate. So it's really kind of a brilliant technology and thought, and if you're green, I was talking to a gal after our announcement, and she's very green, and we were talking about how helpful this is to take this water that's coming and put it back underground so that we can pull it out when we need it.
Very interesting. So if we break this sales tax down, 3% is towards water.
Yep.
20% towards a job incentive.
Jobs fund is what it's been called.
Jobs fund, okay, and then
incentives really is kind of the wrong way to say it.
Okay, yeah, and then 10% on transit and 7% on streets.
Yep.
Okay, and their guesstimation on the amounts.
So that'd be $400 million, $250 to water, essentially, $80 million to jobs.
400 million on water.
No, it's 400 total. 250 to water.
Total.
Yeah, 400 million total, and that's over 5 years. I mean, we're not bankrupting the community.
You barely feel it.
Yeah. Well, this is what we're trying to get to.
I'll tell you two things on that because it's a great question. One, the arena tax did not bankrupt this economy, right? The economy didn't go flying off the handles. People didn't start shopping out of the community. Most of the surrounding suburbs have a higher sales tax than us, and people don't know it. And they don't not get their coffee in Derby when they're driving in to get in Wichita because sales tax is a half-cent lower. We have experience recently that this doesn't cripple the local economy.
I'd like to see that. I would like to, if that is available, I would like to see that because even though this is a 1 cent sales tax, if that's what everybody's decided that's what we're going to call it, and it may not hurt, on a $9.95 dinner, or on a small ticket item, or but I remember, because of people that I work for, it's a car dealer that is sitting here going, okay, and your sales tax is going to be, and I do remember from experience during the arena tax, we did lose car sales to Reno County and Hutchinson and other areas like that. So, on some of these items, it doesn't seem like much, but on a larger ticket item, it can. That's when we may lose some customers.
And they did do a change recently. I think Les Donovan did it in the state legislature to make it a point of origin. So it's where you're from. So if you live outside the city, even though you're buying in the city, it doesn't impact your purchase. So when you go to your tags, it's where you live is the sales tax you pay on the home building and the cars. So they have mitigated. That's why I think we have some car people that are for this thing, because they understand the larger implications to the economy. Again, the cost of doing nothing.
We have car dealers for this. I have not had a chance to.
Well, we're still the coalition's coming together. So they've talked to me privately and said that they're for this. So that's what I can say. As far as list of names, but
we've got a question from one of our audience members, and it comes back to the trust issue, and it's around the jobs and that whole thing that you're going to put together. This reader mentions that the person who's now the president of the Wichita Metro Chamber, and also the a separate person who's president of the Greater Wichita Economic Development, who will have a part in this, came from cities where their performance on jobs is a lot less than it is in Wichita. So have they learned from that? Are they going to have inputs into this?
You're talking about Gary Plummer, who came to us from Springfield, Illinois, did in Waterloo, Iowa, Jefferson City, Missouri. You can't always look. Now, Tim Chase had been in Wichita Falls, Texas for a while, but when they looked and vetted these guys, they looked at people who were thinking proactively, who weren't necessarily saying, well, this is the way it worked 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And they had success around different initiatives that they'd done. And so,
these people who have grown and come into Wichita and lend their expertise to us in these important areas.
So what did that cost us? It just seems like every time before we do something,
those are private people.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the president of the chamber and the president of GABDC. They didn't cost you anything, I don't think, unless you're a chamber member.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be. Anyway, no, because there's been so many times where we propose a sales tax increase, or we propose this or propose that, and it seems like we have to bring in all these, out-of-state consultants, and then, the taxpayers, that somewhere that comes out of our street fund or our transit fund or our job incentive and our already existing.
Well, you mean
water.
like the $400,000 to have a study on what the study should be to have this study so that we can make this happen?
Much. Yes, exactly.
You got to be careful, how cynical you get about that, because, like water, right? So we're all sitting here saying, what's the plan? Do they have a plan? Do I trust the one guy in the water department who's coming up with it? No, you got to have studies. So they had 2 studies that had different thoughts. They brought in a third, to do it. So there's been 3 studies around that. Do I want to spend any more money doing studies on that? No. Right. Do we have enough studies on the shelves that don't get used? Yes. But it's really important to know that this thing will be audited. The money that's supposed to go where it's supposed to go will go. There's going to be citizens seeing it. Will be impossible to hide.
Now they're going to have veto powers in these committees that overlook, or they're going to have. That's the complaint. The crony capitalism. We give money to this guy or give money to that guy. Well, it works against people who aren't asking for money, who don't get the money.
Well, and I would agree the crony capitalism piece, if it's a, another restaurant. I'm a Mexican restaurant business, so they want to help give someone free land to build a Mexican restaurant. Well, there's already a Mexican restaurant here. What are you doing? You're going to be stealing my employees and my business, and it's all from the same pie. The idea on this is to grow primary jobs. So it's to, and one of the new ROIs in it is, say something. Return on investment is, say it's going to bring 5,000 jobs, but it's determined that 3,000 of those would come from other people. Well, then the ROI would be a lot lower. You wouldn't try and bring that business in with the same gusto you would if you're just looking at 5,000 jobs at 80,000 apiece. But you look at Invista right out at Coke. It's one of the best wins that we've had over the last 10 years in economic development. They were looking at Atlanta, Charlotte, another community on the East Coast, and Wichita to decide where this thing was to go. So it came down to the incentives in the end. We paid, as a state, county, and city, $4.5 million to get them to come, and we have 400 jobs at $110,000 a year average apiece. That's a great win. Now, who did that hurt? You know, that's my question. When you talk about winners and losers, who was the loser? It was a win for the state. It was a win for the city. It was a win for Invista. They're very happy to be here. They've only expanded since they've been here. So that's the kind of things that we're looking at. We're also looking at like a machine shop that does aviation. When we talk about diversification, we found that heating and cooling, we could actually be kicking those out of the same machine shops. So we could help someone expand with infrastructure and with training on how to do that, and then all of a sudden they're not as tied to the aviation cycle. So it's those kind of things that it's about our hometown. I mean, that's what I want to keep coming back to. This isn't about, you know, how do we get money to, you know, so and so over here. It's how do we
I'm
fight
tired of that
for
good
jobs.
old boy thing.
Yeah.
It goes back to accountability, because I have got some serious issues with some of the numbers that get toted, whether it's on the city level, the county level, the state level, you know. And you've brought some really good stuff that I can't wait to do some more research on. But I just want to see more accountability. And
well, that's what really strikes me about that oversight committee.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear about that.
The city council. That's a blue ribbon committee. It's anybody in the city can volunteer to be on it, and then they're going to have a process, I guess.
That doesn't help me feel a lot better.
And there was an oversight committee like that on the arena too, that was able to see everything.
Well, might be for the arena. Arena is no parking. I mean, no parking was done specifically, and you talked about the seats. I don't want to spend for a box seat.
Well,
I'd like to go, you know, but that's I
mean, I can understand those complaints, but I think by any measurable standard, that thing's been a major success for the community.
I'm not going to argue with you about that. Same thing with the school district. I'm mad about the way they wasted money on that bond issue.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. And so that's the public trust.
Yeah.
That's what you have to. I know the city's not the county, not the school district, but yet we're all in Wichita. It's our hometown, and we have trust issues that we're trying to overcome.
And I think that is so fair, and we have to demand it. You know, and I think that's why we're seeing them allow it to be 3 private people to 2 public. I think that's why we're seeing a 10 to 15 member citizen oversight committee that's intentionally going to have people from both sides on this. It's just we got to figure out how to do something at some point. We have to say, okay, we've got enough details and enough of a plan that we're going to do our best to try and move forward and choose to be proactive. We can't just sit back and be scared to do anything, you know. And so
just real quick, can you tell me again, your Facebook is?
Yes, Wichita.
Okay, and the website is?
VoteYesWichita.com.
If we want to go to
Harlow, Kelly's 4 convenient locations.
There you go. All right, once again, it's been a fantastic show. I want to thank everybody, okay? And we've got a lot of great folks here today. And again, thanks, Great Plains Television. Thanks to the most awesome camera guys in town, by the way.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's been a great one. Thank you guys. Real people, real life. We'll see you soon.
Thank you all very much.
The views expressed in the preceding program do not necessarily represent the views of this station or its management.
Karma Connections 1123 East Douglas wants everyone to enjoy awesome karma. From our one-of-a-kind natural healing arts massage therapies to our plant shop now open with specials every day. Unique gifts, one-of-a-kind finds, treasures made by local artists. A must-see, our new line from House of Fur Babies. Our fur babies love some awesome karma too. Check out the Bacon Cave, home of worldwide baconrock.com radio. From our family to yours. Love, peace, natural healing, wonderful giggles, always awesome karma.
Motors, we know that everything costs more these days. Gas costs more, utilities cost more, groceries cost more. But what's one thing that will not cost you more? Buying your next vehicle with us. Everything we have is priced $12,995 or under. Bad credit, no worries. No crazy gimmicks and no bait and switch. We keep it real. Economy Motors, home of Easy Pay. We've got your back.
Don't worry, please, don't worry, 'cause at Economy Motors, we got your back.
Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and the lowest prices store-wide. For all your special events, your friends at Hammond Liquor have what you need, from beer, wines, spirits, champagne, and more. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road. Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and lowest prices store-wide, wants to remind you of very important savings days. Wine Day, Tuesdays get 20% off. Beer Day, Wednesdays get 10% off. Microbrews and imports. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road.
Credit King Auto Sales is getting better all the time. We're doing it better. We're doing it better all the time.
saving you money big time and saying thank you, Kansas, for making Credit King Auto Sales the #1 buy here, pay here dealer. #1 for sales, service selection, and customer satisfaction. Right now, our summer blowout sale is going on with, get this, 2 years of free gas only at Credit King Auto Sales at the King's Corner, 31st South and Broadway. Go creditking.com.